Okay.
A boiling point. Where it's about to pop, where it's about to burst. Everyone is having civil unrest. It's like it's teetering onto something, but we don't know what it is yet, right? Everybody keeps saying, how can they do this? Why isn't anybody stopping anything? Like, what's going on? There was a black woman that said, and I quote, the reason why nobody's throwing the first stone is because they're waiting for black people to throw it first. Back in 2013, I was helping this young lady with her master's level course. I forget exactly what she was going for, but I was helping her put her out. She's been she got because she just wanted to learn projects basically. I recommend literature and some studies that pretty much recognize just because we have historically been on the front lines.
Hi, love. Welcome back. Today, actually, let me go grab my coffee because today we are going to go politics galore. welcome back. Welcome back. Today I'm not going to be popular. You're probably not gonna love what I'm going to say, but it's my democratic right to speak, and I'll speak anyhow. You will not like it. You know, the founders of democracy wanted us to know one thing. They wanted us to know that the government is of the people, for the people, by the people. They really, really wanted us to know that. Government is for the people, is of the people, for the people, by the people. The government was never meant to be for the corporations, by the corporations, of the corporations. It was never meant to be for the corporations, for the big businesses. The government was meant to be of the people, for the people, by the people. By the people. Now, the problem I have right now is by the people. You know, we have government of the people, for the people, by the people, by the people. That's the part that gets me, because I think a lot of people forget that the government is by the people. People think that they can get themselves out of the government, not vote for their rights, and still be included in government. And I'm like, bing, 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 life don't work like that. Life don't work like that, you know. Like we all have to think is by the people. If the government is by the people, it means that you and I are making the government by the people. And if you want to remove yourself from that, that's fine. That's fine. And I think, let's look at some people. Like, if you don't vote for your rights in a government, in a democratic government, if you forget that you need to vote for your rights, you're just going to be screwed, because the government is by the people, for the people. So a lot of Black people are on social media. And you know, Black people talk. Black people know they have their constitutional right to talk. And today I was watching this one group that they were laughing at, you know, at the Arabs for Trump movement, who are rebranding to Arabs for Peace because, you know, they forgot about the Muslim ban that Trump had imposed on Muslims, you know, back in his first term. They forgot about it. And they were like, that bitch Kamala, we're not voting for her. No. Now guess what? Because a scorpion and a leopard never changes its spots, Trump is like, we're going to ethnic cleanse Gaza. And now Arabs for Trump are like, Arabs for peace. I'm like, you cannot remove yourself out of the game and then expect that you are going to be somehow remembered in the game. You know, the government is by the people. So the moment you vote against the ethnic cleansing of people who look like you, that's what you've done. That's the government that you have put in power. The government is by the people. If you did not want that, you shouldn't have voted for that. That's the government we have right now. The government that wants to ethnically cleanse Gaza, because that's what Trump said. That's what you voted for. Ouch. Ouch. Hello, Shah. Hello, Shah. People be acting like they don't know how a democratic government works. It's for the people, by the people. Black people right now are like, you know what? If you hate yourself, nobody is going to show you some love. You know, Black people are not out there protesting of anything that Trump's gonna do to this country, because karma is a bitch. Karma is a bitch. Never forget that. Never forget, when you are voting so that the rights of Black people can be taken away, that you are also voting for your own rights to be taken away. Because that's how karma works. She fast. That bitch karma works very fast. She walks so fast. so fast. You know, you can keep up with her. You cannot keep up with her. You cannot sleepwalk in a democracy. You cannot close your eyes in a democracy. You cannot sleepwalk your way out of a democracy. You know, you wake up, you sleep in a democracy, you wake up in an oligarchy. You know, and this is something that a lot of people don't want to swallow. Uh, Eric, they don't see this. They don't see this. They think that they voted for the oligarchy and somehow the leopard is going to change its prince. Like it's just going to select what kind of wolf, you know, what kind of lambs to choose to eat or not eat. They think that like an ungoverned AI is going to only target black people. No, look at Latinos for Trump. Latinos for Trump. I just cannot even. Hello, Yash. Hi, Yash from India. Hey. Latinos for Trump. Black people are not feeling sorry for anybody getting deported. Zilch, nothing. You can't even master black people's emotions because they showed that they cared about your rights when they went to the ballot and voted. That's all they needed to do to show that they care for you and they wanted your rights protected. But other than that, because your only voice is your vote, black people are like, well, let's just watch the shit show now. Let's watch it. Eric says, when they feel they don't need people no more, then it's on. You know, I'm not even surprised that Trump does not need white people. The moment Trump was getting inaugurated, he said it was too cold for MAGA. So he just selected the few people that he wanted in his inauguration to be invited in. There are people who get invited and there are people who buy tickets. And Trump did not want anybody who buys tickets in his circle during his inauguration. We saw the people making up his government. Eric said, look, the people are away. What they call appropriation. Lock the people away. I'm telling you, if democracy, if you're in a plane, right? It doesn't matter whether you're in the first class or you're in the business class or you're seated the seat next to the toilet that smells bad. When you're in a plane, if that plane crashes and goes down, you're going down with it. It's just the way it goes, right? If the ship is sinking, it doesn't matter. It's like the Titanic. If the ship is sinking, it doesn't matter whether you're first class, you're middle class, you know, if the air goes out of the room, we don't care how much expensive clothes you're wearing once the air starts going out of the room. I think a lot of people lock the people away. Eric is saying, lock the people away. I'm here and watching the news, just keeping up with everything that's happening. And I cannot believe that people did not think democracy was something worth preserving, you know? Democracy is worth more than the price of milk and the price of eggs. Wow, I didn't even think they could do this. So they take away jobs, and then if you're homeless or you've been jailed, you know, then then, then if you're homeless, you're committing a crime. And, and I'm sorry to say this to white people, but your racism is bringing out the worst in America, and we are going to go down. Our democracy is, you couldn't sacrifice your hate. White people could not put down their hate for once and fight for democracy. It's like the devil put blinders on them, blinded them with so much hate for brown people, for black people, blinded white people with so much hate that they sold us to the oligarchy. Just like that. Everything the founding fathers have worked for, all the civil rights people, everything that people have been trying to build, a better perfect union, white people are like, bitch, no, F you. I'm going with Trump. you know, um, uh, there's about to be an influx of homelessness in the United States of America. Wait, once those tariffs go into effect, I don't even know how many, like, people had better change their diet, because once those tariffs go into effect, for most of us, we are going to be struggling about, food alone, energy to go to work, the middle class. So if your employer is not giving you more money, it means that prices will go higher and your ability to have discretionary income will shrink. So you will be working harder for much less, more work for low, because inflation is how the oligarchy screws the average working American. Bam, that money goes to the top. This is the thing, like, if that plane crashes and you're in, it doesn't matter you're light skinned, you're white skinned, it doesn't matter who you are. If you're on a plane, it doesn't matter you're on first class, you're on business class, you're on if that plane crashes, you're crashing down with it. I don't know what made white people think that they are immune to an economic crash, that somehow the economy crashing, it would affect black people more than white people. Black people actually have more resilience, because they've seen this through and through. They never had a government protecting them for any kind of privilege, so they'll probably adjust better. They'll probably adjust better. But I think the shock that it will come when white people realize, oh, we've been betrayed. Oh, this wasn't working for us either. I think it will take a lot more time for white people to realize this, but it's coming so swiftly for Arabs for Trump, and like Mexicans for Trump, Hispanics for Trump. They're just realizing, oh, wait, I'm not the privileged one. They're shutting down programs for the poor, but there are so many poor white kids who benefited from these programs. I'm telling you, people, like, I went to visit, what's the state that's next to Chicago? Indiana. I went to Indiana, right? And I visited Indiana some times back. And I was just driving through that white country, and I saw a lot of poverty of white people. I swear, I didn't even think that white people could be that poor, because the media just wants to show you that Africans are poor, but it doesn't show you the number of white kids that actually go to school hungry, without food. And these programs were meant to help those kids so that they can just go to school. They try to hide white poverty. And that is scary because anybody can be poor in an economy, you know. And I think those programs were especially hiding that. But now, when the tap is shut, now we are going to see who really is struggling. We are going to really see when Donald shuts those taps on all those programs, the people who voted for him, white or black, you know, if you're not a millionaire right now, or you don't make something like 150,000, if you, let's say, even you, if you made 150 and you had like a big family, somehow you might even still struggle because, you know, it doesn't matter how much money you're making, it matters how much your expenses are. And that's a big thing. um, Wow. So in most cities in America right now, the affordable housing is being filled for is being built for essential workers, in teachers and people. There's under 100,000 a year now. Imagine affordable housing now is for working class America. Is that what you mean? That why people are actually the benefit? Oh, yeah, white people are actually the benefactors of all welfare. I mean, and we have, you know, people like Elon Musk. We know he is the welfare queen. Black people are calling him the welfare queen because he essentially, people talk about DEI all the time. These people have the nerve to tell black people of all the DEI, DEI, DEI. And Elon Musk is the welfare queen. What kind of DEI are we talking about? If you remove DEI and you are very serious about removing all of DEI everywhere, you know, DEI, people forget that DEI came as a response of white privilege that had been so much over and over and over. Then DEI came. But if we were to remove DEI, let's remove white privilege all together, right? If you put in on the application for a job, they should not ask you to say what kind of a race you are or what gender you are, because they are removing DEI. Let's just go by a number and a name. You know, don't ask people to identify whether they are female, whether they are male, whether they are white, Hispanic, non-white. Hispanics for Trump. Let me remind you, when I'm looking for jobs on Indeed, I'm looking at that Hispanic non-white, and I'm like, why do they have to specify that Hispanics are not white? I mean, I don't know why. I don't know what is wrong with America, because billionaires were able to convince Americans to vote against their own rights. Like, give us government. Let us. Can you imagine billionaires were able to convince people to move away from democracy, a government of the people, for the people, by the people, into a system of a government of corporations, by corporations, for the corporations, for the oligarchy? We just, hey, I've never seen anything like this in my entire life. You know, I never thought I would see this in America. I never thought. You know, I always thought, like, you know, you overestimate Americans. People overestimate how bright Americans are, because you can sell away your democracy for the price of eggs. Now you're still going to eat powdered eggs. You're still going to eat powdered eggs, bro. You know, black people are like, you know what? We don't want to hear it. We are not going to go there and protest. We are not going to say anything. You know, we are not going to say anything until white people overcome their whiteness, and we are not going to care. That's what black people are saying. They're not going to care for this democracy or fight for it until white people overcome their whiteness. I mean, what a thing to say, but again, black people don't have a filter. They'll say whatever. Because they're tired, I think. You know, you get to a point where you know the struggle of fighting for your rights, you know, coming from an oppressive system. You fight for your rights. You try to make a better place than you found it. But, you know, people want to go back. People want to go back to their old ways. But the problem is they've been lied to. And they don't see it. Like, a lot of people don't see it. A lot of people don't see it. Eric says that helps them in appropriating treatment. It's a caste system like India. Well, you know, like, this could lead to a civil war if Trump tried to bring back racism in America, because right now America is very divided. America is very divided. You know, any movement towards racism or that kind of a system here, I think that will lead to a civil war. I think that will lead to a civil war, which will be bloody because I mean, when Germany was committing atrocities in Europe under Hitler, Americans came to the rescue. But when Americans has been doing this to black people, nobody has ever come to the rescue of black people here in America. You know, like, Germans could get help. Europe could get help from America, but black people in America got nobody's help from all the injustices. So, I mean, to create such a system undermines the very fiber of this country and the democracy. I mean, to go back to it, it's like we never learn from history. But anyway, some people are regretting their vote, I think, but the only reason they are regretting their vote is because they see that it's starting to affect them personally, and then they regret it. But the fact that it's affecting other people personally in a negative way, they don't care. They don't care. So, you know, I was reading, I read the Project 2025, and the project starts by saying that, you know what? This is Project 2025. It says that the extreme right has learned from their mistakes of racism, and they want to change, and they have changed that. And so they do not need DEI because they have learned from this is Project 2025, no kidding. it says that that you know America has learned from its racist past and it wants to get to do better, and we don't need DEI. Why? Because America has moved away. I moved has moved away from its racist past. You know what? I don't know what to believe about it, whether it's true. I know that so far, apart from removing DEI, I haven't heard anything threatening about the civil rights. They just removed DEI, but I haven't heard anything threatening the civil rights of anybody. What people are alarmed right now is the threat to democracy. So I guess it's probably not yet there. It's not yet there. But what I'm alarmed by the fact that, Trump said, he wants to ethnically cleanse Gaza, basically, and have those people move. Palestinians, move. We have prime estate, we have prime land here that we could build hotels and vacation places. Why are Gazans there? Those 2.3 million people or whatever, they can just move. Displace them, get them away from Gaza. That's Trump's move. I just don't know why Muslims for America, for Trump, Muslims for Trump, Arabs for Trump. I don't know why they didn't see that coming. Trump had a Muslim ban here in the US so that he keeps Muslim out of the US. Why did they think that he'd turn and be like, oh, I want peace for Palestinians? Why? Why? I think people don't learn until they learn. When somebody said it takes what it takes, someone was saying it takes what it takes. Like for you to stop drugs or doing whatever somebody does, it takes what it takes, right? Maybe it takes a genocide for Arabs for Trump to learn their lesson. Is that what it takes? Or a threat for the genocide? Is that what it takes? It takes what it takes. It takes what it takes, man. It takes what it takes. For people to learn their lessons, it takes what it takes. I saw a video of some white farmers complaining that, Trump has shut down, the pipeline, the welfare pipeline for farmers, because, farmers get a lot of incentives from the government to keep farming. And when that pipeline is shut down, they're like, oh my goodness, I'm going to lose my land. I'm going to lose my business. You're going to lose that and become homeless, and then what? You voted for your own economic destruction. I'm like, I cannot. You can't help people. Eric saying, Italians tried to create a labor class in their own people by mating the Sicilian people with North Africans, and when Rome was conquered, Italians had to mate with and when Rome was conquered, Italians had to mate with the same Sicilians with black blood to repopulate. That's karma. I believe like black people have very good genes. Very good genes. In fact, when they came here to America, black people built this nation. This nation has been built from the cotton factories and black people's labor. And also, I know white people worked in those factories, so I'm not going to take anything from them, because after You know, everybody, like when the Great Depression happened, everybody was starving. And starvation is starvation. You can say, oh, black people are starving, white people are starving. Starvation is starvation. Everybody was starving. When the Great Depression happened, everybody went under. And but America cannot have class right now because there's a lot of people, black and white, whose lives have been like they're intermarried. There's this a lot of, you know, mixing in America. Uh, we will just end up, the thing is, if you wanted to bring in complete racism or an apartheid system in America, you would have to go through another civil war. It's just the same way. People have the right to bear arms. So if the government is going to go against the people have the right to bear arms in America. So the government cannot just turn on its people. Right now, we don't have an opposition in America. The opposition is dead. The Democrats are kind of like dead right now. The opposition is zero. The only thing that's standing away from dictatorship right now is the Constitution of America. The only thing that's standing from Trump's ultimate dictatorship is the Constitution, the ruling law of the land. That's the only thing that is preventing us from going full-blown oligarchy and dictatorship right now. Is that Constitution, is those judges that are fighting those executive orders. You know, do I want transparency in government? I want transparency in government. Do I want transparency in government at the expense of a democracy? No. You know, and a lot of people are praising Trump. Oh, we want more transparency. Yes, I want him. If Trump was just the enemy of the bureaucracy, because bureaucracy, unfortunately, for so many governments, bureaucracy is a pain that people have to deal with. But the thing is, you would think that with all this technology that we have, that we could make the system more efficient. I mean, most of the, like, if you look at the immigration in America, it's very slow because they're still using paper documents. Even if we have like all this technology, all these developments, they're still using paper documents. And that makes immigration process expensive and it takes a long time. And you would think with technology that we would eliminate paper documents and go in full with technology, AI, make the process very streamlined and very effective. But for some reason, that has never happened. So most processes, immigrants are used as placeholders. The first time Trump tried to incite, I don't think, you know, just before Biden left office, Elon was going for a full government shutdown. And Congress fought against it, but he wanted the whole government to be shut down, all of it. And Americans are going, woo, yeah, shut down the government. And I'm like, this is not, if there was a time in American history where America needed a better government, is now. Because look at China. China is ruled by a one-party state, the Communist Party. The Communist Party is always very consistent with China. And because of that, they have strong institutions. They are very consistent over time. America, however, because of the voting and it's a democracy, we change parties. And when we change parties, it breaks. There's a break in consistency, right? There's always a break in consistency. So it means the one time that Americans break so badly in consistency, the People's Republic of China can take advantage of that, you know, and skyrocket. Now, if you think, if they did that in 2008, that would have been, you know, something manageable. Right now, we have AI complicating everything, because whoever wins the war on AI wins, you know, wins the future, the next like decades to come. And you know, you can't make a country a one-man show, because a country hinges on strong institutions. Every government, look at what happened to Argentina. Eric said China is a top competitor. They are actually employing some of the same tactics that America is employing in Americas, starting to employ some of their tactics as well. So America, right now, if America wants to adopt like a kind of an autocratic regime, like exercise similar regime like the autocracy in China. China is a one party, so I just don't see how America can do that without breaking down democracy here in the US. If they want to be like China, like a one-party state, they would have to completely dismantle democracy here in the US. To dismantle that democracy, you would have to, as America would have to go through like a civil war for it to become like China. Now, that point where America is fighting inside itself, China will take that advantage and just boom, like move up so fast. So China is also starting a new labor class by having their poor Asian people made with black people from Africa. This is a front for who they really want to be in leadership. Elon Musk, they have him in office. He's going to get a little time to get his name. Also, you think that they are putting Elon Musk right there so that if eventually in future they can say he's a good leader, why not just make him president of the US? Is Elon Musk even a US citizen? Where was Elon Musk born? Hi, Tiffany. Elon Musk birthplace. Okay, so he was born in June 28, 1971 in Pretoria, South Africa. So I don't think he can be elected president here. Like Americans will not elect somebody born out of their country to become a US president. He just can't. He just cannot become president here. Yeah, I don't think he can become president here. But that does not really matter. I don't know if they can make America a one-party state either, like China. So, you know, right now the US Constitution is like telling the oligarchy no, no, no. But right now America's democracy is only being protected by the Constitution and the separation of powers, um, like the judiciary, because Trump does not need Congress because he can use executive powers and dodge. He can appoint people and literally ignore Congress, the legislature, and he's part of the executive. He can use the president because he's part of the executive. He can put emergency executive orders and use the police and the army because he's the head of the armed forces. And that's how you kind of break a society down. But the problem is the judges can fight him. The judges can fight him. Now, the legislature most likely will not be able to fight him because he has majority in the Senate, and he has majority in Congress. He has majority. So I don't think anybody can fight him. He can arm street or threaten people. I hear that his own party, they're afraid of saying anything because they might lose their jobs, and then, you know, they fear, you know, going into oblivion, you know, getting like a when you make somebody an outcast, they're fearing that, you know, they are going to be outcast into oblivion if they say anything negative about the president. Yeah. So I think, yeah, what they have tried to do before is that what I think, you know, like this, like yesterday we saw like white people wearing Nazi flags of Nazis, and they go to black neighborhood. And I think what they really want is they want to intimidate black people. And you saw that neighborhood come out with guns because Americans have the right to bear arms. And pretty much most everyone in that neighborhood had guns, and they came out with those guns. And they had the right to defend themselves from these outsiders. And the cowards already got into the van and went. And so you can see those, I don't know if they are paid to do this or they are just bullies that want to do this, but you can actually start to see the worst part of white supremacy just coming on to start off a war, like in community fighting. And that unrest can spread. It can spread. So, you know, we're going to see how this is all going to go down. If you want to be a dictator in a democracy, you have to call a state of emergency. That's like the playbook. I've lived in a dictatorship. You know, the generation before my parents, they lived in a dictatorship. And let me tell you, it starts with, you know, you can't say anything negative about the president. You can't criticize him. You can't say anything. And then there's a state of emergency, kind of like what they did with COVID, where they're like, which I think it was an experiment for a time like such as this, where they tell you to wear masks so that you don't, you know, when you can't even see people's mouth, when you physically block people's mouth, you know, you're telling them they will not speak. They don't have a voice. When you physically force people to wear a mask covering their mouth, you're telling them they don't have a right to speak. You're literally covering their mouth. You're literally telling them that we are curtailing your freedom of speech. You cannot talk. And I think the world, because we are moving to a point where we are going to be controlled by AI. Yes. And we know that AI can control the human brain. The whole world is moving towards a place where AI is like God, and we are going to be controlled by a humanoid. And the last thing that people need to do is to worry about the color of their skin, because unless we work together, the oligarchy is going to turn us into zombies. The olig- they're going to turn people into zombies. They're going to make you wear a chip in your in your head. People still think that this is like long out there. We have Neuralink. What do you think Neuralink is about? Is about linking your neurons to a chip so that they can control you like a robot, like a monkey. And you're here worrying about colorism and racism and blah, blah, blah. If this whole shit goes down, we are going down. I'm going down, down, down. Everyone, everyone. The worst thing that you can do is to not really realize as a human being that you're a spiritual being and that you're a conscious being and that there's a divine intelligence that created you the way you are. And then instead of acknowledging that, you go to Neuralink and they give you all these chips and they turn you into a robot, and now you cannot even control your own consciousness because you're being controlled by a robot, because you don't know the value of the neurons that you have. You don't know the value of the gift that you have. You end up just giving it away, for the price of eggs. So what happens when you live in an oligarchy that has AI and all they want to do is win? What was a facade? It's about control. Exactly. Everything is about control. Like people only see what is delivered to them right here to chew, right? They don't see that these guys are steps ahead. This is what's frustrating. It's like they only see this. White people only care about their jobs. The food that we are eating right now. They are not thinking about like real stuff that we have in this economy. We have a lot of governments hiding about extraterrestrial intelligence. They're hiding a lot of that. I don't know why they're hiding it, but they're putting enough military resources into these programs to make me think that they're hiding something. And we have AI. We have AI that's coming, Neuralink, all these things. And people are just worrying about their color of their skin, and they're worrying about, seriously, jobs. Yeah, they are worrying about jobs that enslave you. On a normal day, the job is shit. You're stuck in a cubicle or in a factory like an animal, waiting for time to go, clock in, clock out, they're worried about that. Food, and I think, I don't even know, people, we can make all the noise that we want, but I don't think we can help stupid at all. I don't think there's much we can do right now. It's going to have to go down the way the masterminds want it to go down. A lot of people don't see that Trump was manipulating them throughout the election. They don't even see that they believe 100% that Trump was fighting for them. 100%. They don't see the manipulation at all. And you know, exactly. They're like, it's all a facade. It's all about control. They're like, what can we make them do? These pathetic people who are in survival mode. You know, what can, first of all, they just want control. If they want more babies, they want you to pop out babies for them so that they can put neural links on those babies, and then they can it's such a bad thing. They have you know, like, first of all, like, this the internet is just swiping like that. They're getting us hooked to swiping. And if you haven't found yourself swiping and swiping and swiping, you know, you're very lucky. But they're getting the kids hooked to swiping. Kids are spending at least 5 hours each day swiping. They're either on YouTube, on TikTok, or Instagram. They are being programmed by mind viruses. Our kids, if you're a parent out there and you're like, you don't know what your kid is doing 24/7, like they're in their room and you're not even allowed in their room because they own the world. And American parents have been bullied so many times by their kids. Like, the kids, they want to do whatever they want in their room and don't come to my room. Their kids are being programmed. Their kids are getting programmed so quickly by the internet. So quickly. You know? It's unbelievable. We are cooked. You know what? People here in the US will not believe that COVID was created here. They want to believe that Chinese did this. Chinese did not do this. The first people to get COVID were US soldiers. They were US soldiers. And then the Navy, they traveled out. You know, they traveled out to other nations, right? It was released in a US, the first cases came from the US. And it was there all along on the internet. They were citing like it was a plant in the US, like a research plant in the US. They don't want to believe it. They don't want to believe it. You know, I think the shocker, like, I think the last frontier of the US getting shocked is that, you know, at least right now they're seeing that things like the USAID was meant to manipulate other parts of the world. You know, right now, at least with the transparency, some things are coming out, because some things come out. Like, now they're discovering USAID was used as a you know how they use carrots and sticks. They were using USAID as carrots. You know, how do we manipulate people with money more than, you know, instead of just appearing like the bad guy all the time. Now at least Americans are like, oh my goodness, we did that. We were manipulating people with money and forcing countries to do what we want. It was, now they're starting to see, oh wow, this is not good. Our government is not always good. At least they're starting to see that. At least they're starting to see that their government is not always good. But we are along, like, I think they'll start seeing the things as they are when it's already too late. Like, when it's already too late. I don't think the oligarchy cares for anybody but itself. You know, right now companies are fighting for their own self-preservation. I don't think they care for anybody. I think what they want is to take power away from the people as fast and as quickly as possible. And that's why you're seeing the dismantling of governments. Because, hi Surab. Hi Surab. Yeah. Hello Eric. Yeah. I'm from Kenya. I live in the US. I yeah. So I think when you make institutions weak, like what happened in Venezuela, is that when Hugo Chavez was alive, Hugo Chavez was a dictator. He did not institutionalize anything. He did not make institutions strong. So when Hugo Chavez died, all his dictatorship died with him because there were no institutions. But now, because the institutions have become very strong, they want to dismantle those government institutions. Now, we have the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. They want it gone. And this is when you know that things are bad. Because, again, I was saying the government should be for the people, by the people, of the people. So when you remove consumer protection, they want companies to thrive and make money, but the government is not for companies, by the companies. The government should be of the people, for the people, by the people. That's what the government should be, for the people, by the people. And when you say, oh, we don't want to protect consumers against corporations, because corporations bring job and they make things happen here, you're saying that the government is not of the people, by the people. If there were no people, there would be no corporations. If there were no people, there would be no business. And I think that's another way of gaslighting the voter. Like, you're asking about your rights, what about the corporations? Guess what? If corporations were not, if people were not here, we would not need businesses. So why are we not protecting consumers? Yeah, Eric knows about India. He says India is much like the US. So, at this time, for me, I decided I'm not going to have stress. Right here in the US, I will not have stress, because the people who needed to fight for their rights, they gave them out to the corporations, because they were like, no, we don't need, hey, hi Eric. Yeah, the people were like, we don't need a government of the people, for the people, by the people. We want an oligarchy. We don't care. The price of eggs is too damn expensive. Take this democracy, give it to the oligarchy so that they can manage our lives. We are so tired of managing our own lives. That's how America said. Americans are spoiled. They're like, we don't care about democracy. What do you mean? What was that thing you call democracy? We don't want it. We want one-man show. We want a one-man show. You can follow me on Post-Traumatic Bliss. So, to be honest, we could go on and on and on, but yeah, I just feel like it's, I don't know where we are right now. In America, we only have the judges protecting the Constitution, but they can only do so much, because if they stop the government from violating the Constitution, and then they say, well, we're still gonna do it anyway, there's nothing the judges can do, because the judges don't control the police and they don't control the armed forces. And I guess that's when we cooked. 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 So I guess what I'm saying is just follow exactly what's going to happen. Follow everything closely. Follow how Trump and Elon Musk react to judges telling them no. And when the judges tell them no and they still decide we are going to violate the Constitution no matter what, then you know the kind of government we have in power. It's it's a it's it will be a de facto. What's yeah, when it's an autocracy. Let me see that. Let me de facto. Yeah, it's a de facto in effect, whether it's by right or not. Yeah, I'm saying like so there's these two meanings. There's the de facto and the de jure meaning. De jure, according to rightful entitlement or claim, de jure is, you know, like the resolution declared the independent Republic of Latvia like into existence de jure by right. But when it's de facto is when it's not by right, you know. Um, it's either it's in effect whether you like it or not, it's in effect, right? So when a president is told by the judge that you're not allowed to do this under the Constitution, and they continue to do it regardless of whether the judge told them about the Constitution or whatever, they make it a dictatorship de facto. That's when you cross the line from, you know, like whether it's by right or not, I'm doing it anyway, then it becomes a dictatorship de facto. And people don't think this is dangerous, but that's actually how Kenya fell into dictatorship for 24 hours, for 24 years. Kenya fell into a one-party state de facto for 24 years. 24 years by just de facto. The president declared a state of emergency and made Kenya a one-party state. Whether people liked it or not, we ended up there. We ended up there. And, you know, people don't think that they... I can't speak Hindi. I don't know Hindi. Yeah, and people can end up, a democracy can end up quickly into an oligarchy because all you need is to sleep in a democracy. And then the next day you wake up and you're in an oligarchy or a dictatorship de facto. You know, you don't sleep with, you sleep with your eye open in a democracy. You never really sleep. You always, you know, should always be looking around for trouble. In a democracy, you know, people have to be vigilant, otherwise it doesn't work. And you know, we got to a point where a lot of American influencers, a lot of them, it's so sad to watch on YouTube because you watch and you're like, oh my goodness, you don't know how inflation works. And you're an influencer with millions, I'm talking like 4.9 million subscribers, and you don't even know, you know, how investments works, how, you know, we got all these people with power simply probably because they just have a light skin, but they have nothing in here, so they're not able to warn people when their democracy is under threat or under attack because they don't know. It's like you're an influencer, but you didn't go to high school, you probably didn't go to college, you didn't get a degree or in anything. Um, all that, you know. Uh, Eric, you know, I agree. I totally agree with you. Like, it's probably good for migrants to leave the US right now because this house is going to burn. And I don't think it's going to be merciless on anybody here. I just think it's probably going to be one of the worst nightmares in the history of America. I think this is God telling people, you know, leave Sodom and Gomorrah before I rain hellfire on this Sodom and Gomorrah, this wicked place. I'm gonna turn it upside down. Leave. I think why exactly do you want to meet Eric? Just so you know, he doesn't have to answer you or anything. I just like to keep the internet safe. I just like to keep the internet safe. If Eric, you don't wanna, you're not, you don't feel safe sharing your information, that's okay with me. You know, you don't have to feel, you don't have any obligation. Yeah, so what I don't, for me, what I think right now, what I don't entertain is like stupidity, you know, like people who, like, you didn't vote for your rights and now you're crying, you're seeing the severity of the situation in our government, but you didn't care to listen to anybody. Like, there was this like Arab Muslim influencer during the election. He was telling everybody how on earth would he ever vote for that bitch Kamala. He was just trashing her over and over and over. And then now Trump announced that he's going to ethnically cleanse Gaza. And I was like, and now he's changing his tune. He's like, oh, brown and black people, let's come together. I'm like, you are on your own. Come together with who? Where? You already voted. You already made your bed. Now lay in it. It's time to lay on the bed that you made. I'm like, how can people be like this? It's even rude and it's disgusting. Um, that that people feel entitled to the rights that they voted against. Like, what the hell? I want to shake people and be like, what's wrong with your head right now? What is wrong with you? You know, I'm like, you can't demand, you know, like, I don't, like, what in Trump's character told you that he was pro Islam or Muslim? In his first time, he did not waste time to label Muslims as terrorists and put a Muslim ban on anybody coming from a Muslim country, and they were like, they are Arabs for Trump. You know, because they thought somehow that voting for Trump, he'd be more. People are so lost in the racist ideology that they would rather believe that he was out for black blood and vote against that. And that's why I think a lot of black people, we are like, we don't want crocodile tears. You voted for ethnic cleansing. Now you're going to get ethnic cleansing. And it's sad. It's bad. We did not want this, but you are blinded by hate towards dark-skinned people. Fine. There goes karma. There goes karma. God is good all the time. He makes it rain for the rich and the poor. They all get rain. They all get rain. What everybody wants is the same thing. Everybody wants, regardless whether you're white, blue, pink, yellow, everybody wants is to have their family, people they love, and live in a peaceful world. That's what everybody wants, And Kamala was trying to get people there so that we can all be one big happy family living on a planet that's just floating out there in space. But people, they would jump at any opportunity to see the suffering and persecution of Black people because they thought that they are going to be safe. Better them than me. Ultimately, you can't afford to be free if your ass will be locked away. Freedom comes at a price. Freedom, you have to, in a democracy, all you needed to do is vote for freedom. That's what democracy is about. Democracy is about freedom. People forget that freedom comes before the price of eggs. Freedom comes before the price of eggs. I don't even like eggs, but apparently eggs were a big deal for people. There's a special poverty, there's a poverty that comes from the heart and from poor thinking that you cannot cure with your skin color. It's just there, it can be cured by empathy, education, but but it's the way it is. Bye, Sorab. Have a good one. Yeah, ultimately, I think that's what it is, Yeah, but I think the world we live in, I think this time people are going to learn the hard way. The hard way. Just because I think there's a looming economic, like the economy might crash, for sure. There's a possibility that it might crash. And it might crash, and I don't think, okay, so the war on Ukraine and the tariffs and COVID, all that brought in a good dose of inflation because those were not normal times. And people had to feel it takes everybody to be oppressed at the same time. So I think with COVID, there were so many things that happened. There were the tariffs from Trump, then there was COVID when he was getting out, and then there was the war on Ukraine. And all those obviously pushed the price high. Like those events obviously led, people thought that the country was going, and then there was the printing of money because of the COVID relief and everything happening. So those were unusual times, but we kind of managed. We were managing out of that situation, but there was a lot going on, a lot going on. So, and it's not just in the US. People were starving in Kenya, everywhere in the world. There was just that tension. A war can do that. A war like Ukraine can do that just because of the diverting resources. When countries say we're not gonna trade with you out, we don't, that causes a lot of things in the market. I mean, there was a time when during COVID, like gas was crazy cheap because people were not driving to work. And I wonder why they are not using that strategy right now to bring prices down, because the price of oil can actually make things go up. So I'm thinking if you had people work from home, that would make gas go down, and then probably gas going down would push prices down and kind of manage inflation, because it did that during COVID. Like somehow things like gas was kind of cheap during COVID because nobody was going, nobody was flying. And I think if you see that during that time, I noticed in the market that Amazon was really doing so good when people were not working, because were not driving to work, just because, just think about the Amazon trucks. They are getting, transport is a huge cost for, the business of, shipping, like shipping business. And when people are working from home, you see like oil is not so much in demand, so the price goes down. And because the price is down, companies like Amazon, boom, they make a lot of money. Amazon was doing so well. I mean, that could be a strategy that they can use to cut down inflation. But guess what? Corporations don't care about inflation, because if they did, they would have people work from home so that the price of oil can go down and inflation can go down. But nope, they're in the business of exploiting the human resource to the max. To the max. So they don't care about your work home family balance, work from home, work family. No, they don't care. At home balance, no, they don't care. They want to exploit the human resource. And once people realize that, like, these guys are not there, this economy, they're making it, this economy is being meant for the oligarchy and the shareholder. It was never about the people, ever. And I don't think it's ever going to ever be. And the founders of this republic realized that when they were coming from Europe and the oppressive systems of Europe, they did not want that replicated here in the US. They did not want a king. They did not want any of that. So they divided government into three: the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive, so that they can all be like independent. They can become independent. But government is as strong as the institutions. So if a government has weak institutions, then the government is weak. And we have seen like places like Somali, right, where obviously the government doesn't have a lot of institutions. So rebels can attack the country and take it over because there are no institutions that are strong enough. We have seen what do you call it? That happened in Venezuela too, where the institutions of government, they are so weak that after Hugo Chavez died, everything collapsed because it was a one-man show. And when you remove government's institutions make the government. When you collapse government institutions like the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, when you collapse that kind of an institution, what does that mean? Is that any corporation can swindle the average consumer and nothing will happen, and they cannot report that anywhere. Nowhere. That's a weak government if it cannot protect its people. Exactly where corporation wants us to be, but I don't think regular people care about that because it's so much, it's too complicated, it's a lot of work to think. You know, who wants to think when they don't have to think? Why do we care? It's so much easier not to think, to just go and swipe on Twitter and swipe, and swipe on, it's just so much easier to do that. It's just so much easier to just swipe and forget we have responsibilities to learn and grow. And I think, honestly, to be honest, when I see that, I know that the democracy here was doomed. It's true. I know most Americans are domestic. It's so sad, but it's true, It's so sad because, I have seen people who are supposed to be like lawyers who cannot even see the problem. And I'm like, you're somebody's lawyer. Seriously, you represent somebody in a court of law, and you're not even able to see this kind of a problem. And I'm like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, I swear, some of the things I'm like, maybe, maybe it's all these like flu shots that they keep getting that numbs their brain from thinking. Because there has to be something. Because there has to be something. There's got to be something. Hey, yeah. I mean, I don't claim to know everything, but I mean, I think there are things that somebody should make the effort to know. Like making an effort to understand mental health, making an effort to understand government, making an effort to understand health and nutrition. Because these are things that, what are lawyers paid for? I thought they were paid to kind of even think and strategize. But I have seen people that I'm just shocked. I am, honestly, I think this democracy was doomed either way. How they said that the battle is already won before it begins? Like how prepared you are before the battle starts and just determines whether you're going to win or lose, from the very beginning, if we can see all the things lined up and stacked up against somebody, we could easily see that this battle is doomed. So in the fight for American democracy, why do I think it's already doomed? Because if the people don't want to educate themselves about the democracy, if the people don't want to care, if the people don't want to anticipate the challenges of the democracy and defend democracy as the government of the people, for the people, by the people, I think it's doomed. It's doomed from the very beginning. If people don't see that giving more power to the oligarchy means the death of democracy, and a lot of people, they voted for corporations to get tax cuts when their small businesses are going to suffer from tariffs. That just shows like the lack of education and knowledge makes people doomed. Democracy is doomed. That's why scientists are in place. Kings always had people in place. That research stuff, go back to the days of Moses. They say that I think democracy is a common good. How people don't care about the rivers and the roads if they are not privatized? They only care when it's privatized. Democracy was that common good that we kind of all hoped that everybody will protect. I mean, it's democracy, it's our freedoms from these hungry wolves who want to exploit our children and us and our happiness and our time. You would think people would be smart enough, be like, okay, when it comes to my life, my time is important, my life is important, and my freedom very important. So when it comes to my vote, I want to play this card very wisely. It's a common good. I think democracy being a freedom is a common good because our votes determine how free we are. Because so voting is a common good. But the thing is, people thought they were voting for their rights when they gave us to the wolves. When they gave democracy to the wolves, people thought they were voting for their rights, but they were not voting. Well, you can't blame the people in power for wanting to take freedom away from people. It's kind of why this America was built for that reason, and the government was divided into three because the biggest threat for the individual was losing their freedom to an oligarchy or a big, a big group of people. That's always been like the number one threat. It's not the price of eggs. Forget the price of eggs. So you can't blame the people in position if they want to take away, power from the people. Exactly. We live in a but if you think about people escaping the feudal system, or the French when they were fighting for liberty, fighting for liberty from the monarchy, it boiled down to liberty, right? And who are they trying to escape? They were trying to escape the rich because they had exploited them for labor, they had taken their land, they were enslaving their children. I mean, they had created this system that was so exploitative, and they did not want to repeat it here. But anyway, they came to the US and they repeated the same thing with Black people until they had a civil war against it. So you can see the French fighting for their liberation, people getting out of a feudal system, the monarchy system, and then we have the slavery system, people just fighting. People have always relentlessly fought against their freedom. And I think Americans are spoiled because they were like, well, I think the middle class Americans, they think they have everything they need. So they don't need to fight for their freedom. So in order for the rich to stay rich, the poor have to stay poor. No one actually wants to consider themselves poor anymore that comes from another country to this country. I would consider them to be a minority. Nobody wants to think of themselves as poor. Nobody, and I mean, it's nice to have that mindset that I'm not poor, but it's also good to be realistic, that if you do not own property that you're getting income from, if you have a job and that's all you have, you're poor. If you have a job and somebody else, you're waiting for a check every Friday from somebody else, you're poor. Because literally, the people who own the sources of production or the businesses, those are from a different class than the people who have jobs. So, because if they lost the job that day, if you lose a job, if you go to a place and you work and they give you money, if you lose that job, that's a whole different news. Like that's like, you know. So the hugest minority come from the biggest group of people here, black people, but no one wants to associate themselves with black, and that's okay. But you will find that most black people that I know, they have their own small businesses, whether it's the person who is doing my hair, or doing my nails. Like they got their own small businesses that they have in their own communities. And the same, let's say, the same goes with Asians also have their own small businesses, like they are working, but if you're working in, say, corporate America, if you're working in corporate America, the laws that they will put for your job are in favor of the shareholder, right? uh, like when we're in corporate America, we are working for the shareholder. So all the rules, everything is built for the bottom line. So there will be maximum exploitation of labor to help the bottom line. So people end up either working more hours, overextending themselves, they lose work-home life balance, all that stuff. So if you work, let's say, a good 10 years in corporate America, that's a good 10 years of your life you've lost, from family. Yeah, so right now I'm just going, and for me, I'm just waiting. We will wait and see how this whole thing goes down. um, the best thing that can happen, okay, I want to believe, like I want to close my eyes and believe, okay, Trump wants the best for America. He's this wise old man who sits down in his chair and thinks about, how can I make America great today? I have one job, to make America great. And he's like, how am I going to do this? And he's like, okay, I'm going to balance the books of America. I'm going to make this government efficient. I'm going to balance the books, that we are no longer overspending. We are no longer America. If you, that would be great. If he was thinking, wait, we really need to balance these books. And wait, the education is so messed up. We just need to dismantle it. I mean, I believe the education system is messed up. Like, there are things that I totally agree. Exactly. This is the point, Eric. For me, I already know that. I already know that because I live in a white neighborhood. So, and when I see them and I talk to white people all the time, I'm like, wait a minute. How much better off do you think you're better off than me? I don't see that much. I don't see that much. A lot of black people are not indebted. They don't live in debt. You know why? Because banks will not give them loans. So black people don't even have loans. They don't sleep at night thinking about, oh my goodness, how am I ever going to pay my student loans, all my mortgages, all my car debts. Most of them are not like that. Um, to sleep at night in this economy is the real deal. Can you sleep at night? because that's all that matters. Can you sleep at night without worrying about Uncle Sam, without worrying about, losing your house, without worrying about going under? Can you? That's all that matters. And I talk to people and they have a lot of anxiety about their life. And I'm like, I don't know why, I don't know why they think it's only a black people problem. I meet a lot of like people in construction. Like I talk to a lot of white people in construction, and they're like, I want this Mexican gone because they take our jobs and they are a whole lot cheaper, and that's why they're taking the jobs. And I'm like, most of those people that you want deported and gone so that they don't take their job, they're actually probably not illegal, and they are offering cheaper services than you. You're probably going to starve either way, the way I see it. you know like, and so you see now it's these businesses are not shutting down because of immigrants. These businesses are shutting down because of corporations. So when people say that it's the migrants that are making them poor, it's actually the corporations that have squeezing them out of business. But anyway, people voted for more corporations. So I guess those corporations, they have tax breaks. So corporations, when they have tax breaks, they'll be able to still import their coffee, everything. But it's the small businessman that gets squeezed, It's the small businessman that gets squeezed. And tariffs, they don't know what skin color you are. They will squeeze you. And when you squeeze people, you squeeze the middle class. What does the middle class do? It becomes poor. People don't get the way the rich get richer is to squeeze the middle class. Whoever the middle class is the name of the game. You can blame the game. You can blame the game. You can blame the game. And I also think like consumers are stupid, because anyway here in America, I think we are losing a sense of community, because if there was a sense of community, the consumers would be like, I don't want to buy Starbucks, I want to buy from my community shop right here, because people have a sense of community and preserving businesses. But I don't even think that people care about those kinds of things anymore. So I guess everybody is rooting for the oligarchy. Everybody. Even your neighbor will not buy from you if they can buy from Amazon. You know what? I guess we are screwed. Hey. I guess we are screwed. But my thing is, like, some people have that understanding and then some people don't. And I honestly think it's a lot of the people who don't see this coming their way. Those are the people who are going to get shocked. When things radically turn against them and they're like, oh my goodness, I thought I was safe, but the boat is sinking and I'm sinking with it, You're about to go. It was nice speaking with you too. I guess we can call it a day. Thanks for joining me and helping me rant. Get my get it off my chest. Get it off my chest. Because I don't want to die with stress. I had to get it out of my chest. Well, thanks. Well, have a good night and hope to see you tomorrow. I also go and sleep.